Okay, ready for part two of the cognitive biases that affect negotiation? Here we go. Number six, the winner's curse. Sometimes getting what you ask for can be a bad thing. No, I don't mean this in a horror movie sense, despite the picture, where you accidentally buy a haunted mansion or something. The winner's curse is what happens when the other party quickly and readily gives in to your demands. I offer you a job for $30,000 a year. You come back and tell me you want $38,000, and I say, "Okay, no problem." Of course, you are happy to have gotten more money, but you wonder, I gave in so easily. Should you have held out for more? Maybe you're still underpaid. You might be unhappy even though you got what you wanted. 7. Overconfidence. Obviously, not all of us suffer from this problem. Maybe you're underconfident. But the truth is, people who are new to something tend to overestimate how well they'll do at it. How many college freshmen, for example, expect to drop out? Not as many as actually do. In my experience, and looking at several surveys, graduating seniors at LIM actually have a pretty realistic idea of how much money they'll make, if they get a full-time job. But students in general tend to overestimate their likelihood of finding a full-time job in their field within a few months, and then they overestimate how much they're going to get paid. 8. The law of small numbers. We learn from experience, which is good. Except many times, we only have a small amount of experience, and that's not typical of the world in general. For example, it's hard to draw a picture of the typical college experience just based on life at LIM College. We don't have sports or students playing frisbee on the quad. We have a lot more students interning and commuting, and we're not so diverse when it comes to majors. Similarly, if you have a bad experience the first time you try to negotiate a salary, you're likely to be afraid to try again, even though most negotiations go pretty well. That's why personal experience, as valuable as it feels, isn't always a good guide for the right way to do things. 9. Self-serving biases. Okay, so we can assume that we aren't jerks. We don't set out to be self-serving. Nevertheless, when judging people's behavior, we do tend to do so in ways that favor ourselves. We attribute our own mistakes to circumstances beyond our control, but other people's mistakes to their personal flaws. For example, if I'm late, well, it's not my fault. The MTA is a big mess. But if you're late, well, that's because you're a flake. You should have planned ahead with enough time. We have lots of excuses for our own mistakes, but less tolerance for the mistakes of others. So if the other party in a negotiation makes an error, or they take too long to get back to us, we aren't going to be very forgiving. Number 10, the endowment effect. We overvalue things that we own. I see this all the time at garage sales. People think that their old junk is super valuable, but there just isn't a big market for used VHS tapes. I fell victim to this one recently when I sold something on eBay and was disappointed by how little people were willing to pay for it. 11. Ignoring other people's cognition. You may have heard about studies on very young children and the process of learning that other people also think. If a little kid sees us hide a toy, they don't realize that another kid not in the room doesn't know where the toy is. Well, obviously, we're all well beyond that point in our development. But we still sometimes assume the other party's just being mean, rather than realizing they don't have some information that they can't share with us. For example, let's say I make you a job offer and it's not enough money. You might think it's unfairly low and I'm just being cheap. But maybe I have information that you don't, such as what my other employees are paid. Remember, you might not have the full picture. Number 12, reactive devaluation. This one is related to the winner's curse, and it's kind of cynical. It's the assumption that because I gave something up, I probably didn't value it anyway, so it shouldn't count as a real concession. This bias doesn't happen to us all the time. It's most likely in distributive negotiation or when we don't trust the other party. So these are the 12 cognitive biases that can negatively affect your negotiation effectiveness. They can prevent you from reaching a fair agreement, or from reaching any agreement, or from being happy with the agreement that you did reach.